Hey guys, Greg Connolly here with Trifecta Nutrition. We're back again for another nutrition tip with Dr. Mike Israetel. This time we are talking about a question we get an incredibly large amount recently, which is about the vegan diet. Can you build muscle? Can you get lean using a vegan diet, even though it doesn't include some of the staple sources of protein like whey protein or obviously meats and eggs?
Totally, very good question. So it's kind of a really good news, really small bad news sort of situation. We could probably do the bad news first. Through the study of especially strength power sport outcomes and maximum hypertrophy, vegans tend to be outperformed by folks that eat meat by just this tiny little margin. And we can't be so sure that that's attributable to the vegan diet so much as maybe if we have a higher volume of research, we can find that with proper supplementation and a really meticulous approach, which I'll talk about in just a second, maybe they would even be equal. But if your goal is to get absolutely as jacked as possible, maybe the vegan approach isn't what's going to get you to the Olympics or something like that. Mm-hmm. However, for most folks trying to put on muscle and burn fat, the vegan approach is absolutely crystal clear, totally fine, it works great. And that's really the good news, is that, as a vegan, you run into some unfortunate characters every now and again. You'll be lifting at a gym and someone will start talking to you, the usual bro stuff, and you'll say, well, I'm a vegan, and they'll say, oh, you're trying to get jacked as a vegan? That's not possible, brother. You got to eat pounds of red meat. You got to take the red meat blood and just cover yourself with it, and you're just like, that sounds like a Satanist ritual rather than anything to do with hypertrophy, right? And you'd be like, oh, meat and eggs and all this stuff. And the reality is this: most folks that are vegan are not gigantically muscular because that's just not one of their goals. And they're not optimizing their, if you say, well, vegans are generally not that muscular, so veganism is what's making them not muscular. What about regular meat eaters? Do you just go to Walmart and everyone's jacked? Those people all eat meat. No one's jacked, right? So vegans, by altering their protein consumption especially, and being very diligent about that, can get almost all and unbelievable benefits for muscle growth and for fat loss, just like folks who eat meat. So that supplementation and that necessity of protein is the big factor. You want to get as many complete plant protein sources as you can. Big on the soy, big on quinoa, things like that. And there's a bunch of other complete plant sources of protein which are great. And you've got to be diligent about it. A lot of vegans will tend to eat stuff that is incredibly nutritious, great for your health, it's very tasty, but maybe doesn't have a ton of protein in it. Mm-hmm. As someone who is both vegan and interested in getting more muscular, you've got to, just like a meat eater, take the time to make sure you select high protein sources. And supplements for protein go a long way for vegans, because if you want a ton of protein, another thing is that animal proteins tend to be a little more high quality than plant proteins, and that's not a moral judgment. They simply digest a little bit better. Plant proteins sometimes digest longer, and not all of them get into the blood. So in order for vegans to get as much utility from the protein, they have to eat more actual protein. Mm-hmm. So instead of eating a gram per pound a day, which is we tell most people to get jacked, they might have to go up to 1.5 grams per pound a day. That's a lot of protein. Man, that's a lot of soy and quinoa. You have tofu coming out of your ears at some point. A great soy protein supplement can go a long way. Have a soy protein shake in the morning, have one maybe at night before you go to bed, 40 or 50 grams in each one, and now your daily protein's really starting to get up there. Eat a great nutritious vegan diet, high in natural plant proteins, and you're good to go. Just get plenty of protein and be diligent and consistent. And if someone tries to tell you that, oh, you're never going to get jacked being a vegan or whatever, just get jacked and then beat them up. That'll make you feel great. And you can just represent, you say, I speak for all vegans, you just beat up meat eaters left and right. Just kidding, please don't do that. But make sure supplementation is a really good idea, and being diligent about getting enough protein, not just falling back on traditional foods that a lot of vegans eat, but making sure to get the high protein foods that your body needs for muscle growth.
Excellent. A lot of great tips for vegans in there. Trifecta, we definitely condone the vegan diet, just not necessarily beating up meat eaters. But great tips for people that are following a vegan diet, how to get proper amounts of protein, calories, etc., to really be able to build muscle, and a lot easier to stay lean on it, obviously, because it's harder to get a high calorie level with that amount of volume of food. So we'll be back in a few minutes with some more tips from Dr. Mike Israetel. Thanks, guys.